Standard form of an angle in degrees. So in our previous video, we talked about what degrees were. We said there was 360 degrees in an entire revolution. And you may have noticed when I was drawing all of these angles, I was starting at this positive x-axis here. And that's what we call an angle in standard form, where the vertex of the angle is at the origin and its initial side, which is also known as its starting side, start, is on the positive x-axis. So here is our, thank you, Microsoft Teams. Here is our starting side. This is the initial side. Where the angle begins. And positive angles, we move counterclockwise. So we move opposite the way a clock moves. So a positive 90-degree angle would move in that counterclockwise motion. It would go all the way up to here. That would be its terminal side, where the angle ends. On the other hand, we can have negative angles. If it's in standard form, the initial side will still be in the same place. But if we have a negative angle, let's say negative 90 degrees, we still go that same amount of turn, right? It's that same amount of turn, it's just in the opposite direction, moving clockwise. And the terminal side would be down here. The terminal side is where an angle ends. So I have, from our previous video, the angles that we wrote out there, and we can do this in the negative direction as well. So we start here, this is still going to be 0 degrees. And we're just going to move in this direction here. So this amount of turn to the very first spoke is still the same amount of turn to up here, it's just in the negative direction. So this is negative 30 degrees. The second spoke, it's the same amount of movement as going to the second spoke in the positive direction, which is 45 degrees. So this is negative 45 degrees, negative 60 degrees, and we can just go around this whole circle this way. This is negative 90 degrees. This is negative 120 degrees, right? I'm just moving past these spokes, but in the negative direction. The next one will be negative 135 degrees, negative 150 degrees, negative 180 degrees, negative 210 degrees. Because what you'd be doing, you'd still be going 210 degrees. You'd still be going that same amount of turn. You're just going in that opposite direction. Negative 225 degrees, negative 240 degrees, negative 270 degrees, negative 300 degrees, negative 315 degrees, negative 330 degrees, and this is also negative 360 degrees. So that is, here we have the positive direction in the counterclockwise direction, and then the negative angles in the clockwise direction. Now, an angle can go more than 360 degrees or less than negative 360 degrees. It would just go around more than once. So, for instance, a 450-degree angle would go around 360 degrees, right? because 450 is more than 360, so it would make one entire loop. Maybe I'll just go ahead and highlight those and red. Ooh, there's that first loop there. And then it needs to go 90 degrees extra to make the rest of the 450. So it would go 90 degrees extra. And that's how I would draw a 450-degree angle in standard position. It still it still lands on the 90-degree spoke, but I'm not just drawing the blue part. I'm drawing the whole circle, all the way around. So we'll do a couple of examples here. The question is going to be sketch the angle in standard position and determine which quadrant it lies in. As a review, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are Roman numerals, but it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We just tend to use Roman numerals when we talk about quadrants. Bit outdated, but that's what it is. All right, so for 500 degrees, I know that this is at least 360 degrees, right? So I'm going to go around at least 360. There's my first bit. And then for my next bit, what is that? 140 degrees extra. See, we know this guy right here. Oop, where's that? This guy right here was 150 degrees. This one was 135 degrees. So this extra 140 degrees, that's going to be somewhere between these two, closer to the 135 than it is to the 150. So we'll go, and maybe it's like here-ish. You do your best, For negative 135 degrees, we know this guy's negative 90 degrees down here, if we're moving in that clockwise direction. This is negative 180 degrees. And negative 135 is going to be right between those, negative 135 degrees. So this will be our terminal side here. Let me make this a little thicker. We'll start at our initial side. Negative 135 degrees. And let me make these clear over here too, where those initial sides and terminal sides are. Negative 330 degrees. Our initial side. Once again, we know, let's see, this guy is going to be negative 270 degrees. Down here, this would be negative 360 degrees. And we know that the outside spokes, those ones count by 30s, 30-degree angles. So this is a 30-degree angle, this is a 30-degree angle, this is a 30-degree angle. Those are 30-degree jumps. So we have a negative 300 degrees. Negative 330 degrees is right here. So we go all the way around, boop. Should be a negative there, negative 330 degrees. But it could get bigger. So what if we had 1050 degrees? Well, let's see. We know that we would need to go around at least once, right? So 360 degrees. If you add in another 360 degrees, that takes you to 720 degrees. Here, this is 720. So we know we need to do at least 2 revolutions in the positive direction. Here's 1. Here's 2. Now we've gone 720 degrees. And what's going to be left? Well, we have a total of, let's use a thinner pencil. We have a total of 1050 degrees. We've done 720 of them. What's left is 330 degrees. So we just need to finish 330 degrees from here. This is the 270-degree mark. We're basically starting over again. We've done our full revolutions, and now we're just kind of starting over with that leftover amount there. So it's plus that 330. This guy here and this guy here, those ones count by 30s. So this one is 300 degrees, and this one is 330 degrees. So we will continue. Maybe I'll do this in a different color so you can see all the way around to that 330 degree. And there it is. So there's that. You can do the same thing with negative angles. Negative angles could be more than 360 degrees. They could be negative 512 degrees. And it's just about doing all the revolutions that you possibly can and then finishing off that last bit. All right, I'll see you in the next video.